Hello and welcome to an all-new Marvel cast, Explosion Network's hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to Crimson Cowl and Phalanx. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley, the Explosion Network's resident watcher. Joining me today is the Ultimate Kira Marchant.
You know, I was wondering once again where exactly you were going to go with characters for this one, but you knocked it out of the park with those, bud.
Yep. And also joining us is Dylan Blight.
Yeah, hello.
On this episode, we're talking about the latest episode of What If Ultron Won, directed by Bryan, written by Matthew Chauncey. Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton seek to destroy killer robot Ultron following a cataclysmic event. Kieran, what do you think of the latest episode of What If?
I think it was. It's a pretty good way to round out the series with a two-parter that kind of is going to bring together a lot of the episodes beforehand. I think once again, mate, there's a few little minor details that are interesting, or I find slightly kind of if it was, you feel like if there was more time to the episode or the more time for this story to play out, there would have been things done fairly differently. But it was a good episode. I don't think it was my favorite, but I look forward to where it goes next week with the cumulative episode, kind of bringing everything together.
Dylan?
It was okay. I think the more interesting aspect is basically everything to do with the Watcher and, like, obviously the breaking of the multiverse and stuff like that, and the general core concept of Ultron winning and Black Widow and Hawkeye's fight against him was like, whatever. It was very obvious. It was just sort of the backing to the main point of the episode, which was just actually an episode going full on into the Watcher and all this sort of stuff, which is cool because, you know, I was wondering if we'd ever, because the show's done this really, we talked about it before, where it's just like spends a long time just sort of doing these episodes and he's not in the background, and slowly started having him more in the background, and now this episode is like a full main character that's actually in the episode and a big part of it and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't, it's weird because I'm like, I thought the whole idea of this show was like canon, or to a degree supposedly canon to the multiverse, but then you've got like Ultron smashing for all these alternate multiverses and stuff. I'm like, what's the payoff for this? Is old mate gonna show up and kill him and tie it into Loki? Like, I don't know what the, you know, it was okay. I wasn't super into it.
Yeah, I don't think it's the strongest episode. Clearly, it's a setup episode to a certain degree. It's like setting up, I don't know, Vision Ultron, I guess, or whatever. I don't know, what do you want to call him?
It's just Ultron. It's just Ultron in Vision's way.
I guess it's just Ultron.
Yeah.
I will say, disappointing they couldn't get James Spader back. That would have, like, I think that would have taken it up another notch. But yeah, all the stuff with him, Ultron, and like the Watcher was like really interesting and stuff. I think clearly the Hawkeye Natasha stuff was like kind of on the back burner, but that's very much, obviously that is setting up how they're going to defeat Ultron in the final episode. You would assume, with them finding a copy of Armanzola in the Winter Soldier facility. I mean, got to reuse that for a set.
Just as because I was confused, was this actually does this tie into last week's episode? Is this supposed to be the same Ultron? Was that the same?
Yeah,
I assume so. Yeah,
you would think so. We never saw that moment, so to speak.
No, we never. They never went back to it, but he looked exactly the same.
I would assume this is set before the events of that, which is weird because the Watcher
is actually normally during that. So yeah, at the same time, it's like a.
Or it could have been like the first time he saw.
Time is a weird reference for the Watcher, you would think.
Yeah.
And what multiverse he's looking at what time, and the relativity of it all.
Yeah. Like, it's interesting, obviously, in like this episode where he's like talking after Ultron's blown up, I can't remember what the Guardians of the Galaxy Nova Corp planet after blowing up Captain Marvel.
That one,
Xander, yes. And he's like alone and everything, and then like the Watchers obviously give him the narration, and Vision Ultron can hear him, and the Watcher finally actually says that he notices him. It's like, oh shit. That's an interesting idea of how does the Watcher perceive all this stuff that he's watching, that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely interesting. But yeah, I think it's clearly next week's episode is going to be the big Blight episode. We assume people are coming back. It's the Avengers of the multiverse or whatever. But yeah, how do we feel? They actually did fight though. Ultron and the Watcher. Watcher can throw down.
Throw down.
Once again, though, I almost feel like that fight felt really rushed. Because I guess you are conveying that the Ultron is just that powerful and that strong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it kind of just got to a point where the rhythm or the overall kind of pacing of the fight suddenly went to, and Watcher's now losing. And it was not really, I don't know. There was
that's fair. The Watcher probably hasn't been in a fight ever. You think about it.
He lives, bro.
But he has this moment of, you cannot compute my will. And then it's like, yeah, well, maybe he can. Maybe.
I mean, when you think about it, it kind of contradicts the events of Loki, where they're making fun of how powerful the Infinity Stones are, and yet he's got all these Infinity Stones and super powerful.
It's interesting that he doesn't use the Infinity Stones in the conventional way that we've seen them used. There's no real obvious elements of.
There's not turning time backwards and other than the teleporting, that's the only conventional.
Yeah,
thing,
I guess it's a weird one as well. It was one of the things where I was with Thanos' death, I was like,
man, this series has not been kind to Thanos, right?
I think this series was nice to Thanos in the
Black Panther
episode. The Black Panther, the T'Challa in space one. But yeah, dude just died even though he had 4 Infinity Stones. When we've seen so many other occasions in the series where he just kind of chumped everything with 4 Infinity Stones.
Yeah, apparently Vision just could have killed Thanos. They shouldn't have tried to tear him apart. Remove the Mind Stone. They should have just got him to use his giant laser.
Just all right. We want you to hide off stage, and when just a bit of a pantomime, the crowd's probably going to be yelling, "But he's behind you" to Thanos, but he's not going to listen. And
listen,
then
you know that moment where Steve's holding his arms up, you fly in from behind him, straight down the middle.
Yeah, I feel like great. That was one of the parts I was like, huh. Because I was actually interested about Thanos and Ultron meeting, because that is something that has happened several times in the comic book universe. So I was like, oh, okay, this is cool, having a more one-on-one conversation. Oh, no, he's just dead. Okay. Right, I see you need to speed through and give Ultron the Infinity Stones quickly, but at the same time, sure. It just kind of jumped out Thanos a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I did it did kick off with a good action sequence, I thought, with Natasha and Hawkeye taking out all the Ultron boats with the bike.
No arm.
Old Man Logan-esque.
Shout outs to Green Arrow.
Old Man Hawkeye.
It's an interesting choice when in a world filled with robots. He's like, I lost an arm, I'm going to get a robotic arm. It's waiting for it to get infected and choke him. But it also made me think at the same time, right? Hawkeye's kind of the most impressive Avenger in a way. Realistically, just based on base skill without any enhancements, really, some of the shots he hits with his bow is kind of nutty. The first one he did where he fired all those arrows and they just headshot all the flying. I'm like, man, that's some good shit.
Pretty impressive.
That is
you got some cool upgraded arrows. You had the force field arrow. Never seen that before. I assume that would be very difficult to do in live action.
I don't know. It's special effects. Yeah. Special effects are easy, right?
Yeah. And then you had the reverse kind of shot from Endgame of Hawkeye letting go and choosing to sacrifice himself.
That was actually the coolest, I think, shot of the episode. Was just
that shot was
the slow
amazing.
motion of all the Ultrons coming up and him pulling
slow
the arrow or
motion.
whatever.
Yeah,
that was a cool,
that's
like...
That shot was... that. I think that's my favorite shot of the show.
You know how sometimes you can see something that's obviously someone's concept art for an episode and they just went all out making that concept art into like a moment in the episode? That's one of those moments, I think.
Yeah. I thought another, like, them, like, Ultron smashing the Watcher through multiverses, like, the quick change of the backgrounds and that kind of stuff, that looked quite good in this animation style as well, so. Yeah. So, I thought it's interesting that he obviously reverted back to Doctor Strange, that we got, I don't know, what version of evil Doctor Strange that we got a few weeks ago, you know. But it does make sense that he would go to the one universe he knows that has been removed of all life, I guess, to a certain degree.
I just don't know what he's going to do. Like, I don't...
He's asking for his help.
I guess.
I think it's going to be like this massive team-up thing, we all assume.
Well, Doctor Strange, that version of Doctor Strange is kind of gone full circle back to the original Stephen Strange, but is just powerful as shit.
Powerful as shit and, like, full of, like, dark magic stuff.
Powerful as fuck, bruh.
Yeah. And I guess the circle thing that they're inside of is the...
What if he, like, turns on the Watcher and then he's the big bag of the Multiverse of
Madness? That'd be impressive. That would be impressive that you set up your big Multiverse of Madness villain in the animated series. Like, that would definitely give the series a bit more clout and importance within the grand scheme.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I doubt it.
Does anyone else think it's weird that a show that was sort of pitched as... Like, now that we're, like, just one episode away and we're, like, at the penultimate that's basically now turned into a pseudo 3-parter. Well, not really, but I mean, I guess if you want to count the end of last week. But at least a 2-parter. Isn't it weird how a show that was set up as sort of like a bunch of not connected things taking place in all the multiverse has ultimately just become a show about, again, just bringing a bunch of the characters, like everything's connected. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah.
Like if Captain Carter and everyone else that we've seen, or like 9 out of 10, 90% of the characters we've seen rock up next week, or Doctor Strange goes and gets them all from different parts of the multiverse, it's like, oh, the show wasn't really a bunch of different stories. It was all leading to the same place. So
I'm fine with that. As long as it's cool and enjoyable. It's like...
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was any...
As long as we get a season 2 where we get to delve more into this. So being upset that all these characters didn't get a proper ending or whatever, yeah. Alright, anything else you guys want to discuss?
I
did think it was cool he went to all the different planets, like, that we know of. Like,
was that one where
Ego
was becoming
no, like,
president?
Yeah, not even the multiverse, but the actual planets in the universe, like...
Oh, right, yeah.
Like Scar and Ego and... all the different places, making sure he kills everybody. Ever go back to that? I wonder if we'll get Ego, that after credits or the end season
of
2. We have to assume, hopefully.
Okay, yeah. Because it's so weird they got him to come in and just do that one. That's all he's done this entire season. They got him, Jeff Bridges.
Kurt Russell,
wrong person.
Wow,
Russell,
what are you talking about here?
Sorry, Jeff Bridges. Yeah, no, I was trying to make the joke, but I think I was overthinking it. So yeah, Jeff Bridges is who I wanted to say. Yes,
as if you don't know the difference between Kevin Bacon and Kurt Russell. Like, oh my god.
They got him in to say like literally one sentence. So
maybe that's what they could afford.
Got paid a lot for that one sentence, most likely.
I mean, they could have spent that money getting James.
Sure.
Do you believe that? So would we at the moment be still a bit iffy on this idea of having the last 2 episodes being a 2-parter, whereas I guess so many of these episodes so far have almost been crying out for more content, almost like we've wanted more of these episodes to go longer? Do you think it could have been better off either giving certain episodes more time rather than having this 1 2-parter at the end to bring them all together?
I don't know if I want them all together, to be honest, but I'll have to see if it just actually works out.
I think we won't be able to answer that question till next week. So yeah. Well, let us know what you thought of this week's What If, and are you excited for next week's episode of What If, where we assume awesome team up, Let us know on Twitter by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to a Discord at explosion.com/Discord if you want to help us out here at All New Marvelcast. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Or tell people about the show. That's really helpful. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support and buy us a coffee. So make sure you watch the next episode of What If. Join us next time for another All New Marvelcast.